I'm Corinne, and this is Free Press Fail. So, Jen Psaki said today that she thought GOP response to Biden's vaccine mandates were unfortunate, disappointing, and sad. And what the heck, I agree with Jen Psaki for the first time ever. I keep reading Biden criticisms that start off, I am vaccinated, but... And I just want to say, now is not the time for your vaccine virtue signaling. We don't need to know your vaccination status before you slam this unconstitutional mandate. So, talk less. But if you are going to speak out, which I think you should, I have a few suggestions that are a little bit better than that. This is how I would approach the combo. First off, no means no, Joe. This is fun in all the ways because Joe Biden is a huge creep, but it mostly works because the vaccines have been available for at least 8 months now. Everyone who wants one can get one. Those who don't want one have said no. No consent, no jab. Now, isn't that a policy worth respecting at all times? My antibodies, my choice. Biden's mandate provides no exception for those who have already had COVID, even though new studies show that natural immunity is like 27 times more effective than the vaccine. That's just straight up anti-science. Jobs over jabs. We already have a tremendous labor shortage in this country, and Joe Biden thinks the solution is to tell employees, you better do what I want or you're fired? First of all, the only one we ever want to hear you're fired from is Donald J. Trump. Second, we're not trying to sink the economy even deeper than it is right now. We want more jobs. The jabs should be optional. Jim Crow Joe. This mandate is actually super racist. We know the demographics of vaccinated people, and it's heavily white, over 2/3 white. Demanding vaccination for every single employee is going to hit Black, Hispanic, and immigrant populations harder than anyone else. And if they really enforce this, the American workforce is going to look whiter than the segregated country clubs our liberal senators belong to. Welcome to the animal farm. As if the billions in handouts to Big Pharma for the development of the vaccine wasn't enough, Biden's plan for mandated vaccines is a guaranteed cash cow for Pfizer forever. And we're the cows. As of this week, the CDC doesn't even consider you fully vaccinated unless you've got 3 doses of the vaccine, and Lord knows these boosters will be endless. I had no idea that the farm in George Orwell's Animal Farm was meant to be spelled with a PH. Tony Baloney Fauci cannot be trusted. In the very same week that Biden announced the mandates, over 900 pages in grants were made public that detailed the funding Dr. Fauci himself granted to the Wuhan virology lab that most likely invented COVID. And he's the one advising on this? If we're all about mandates right now, why don't we make one that says the inventor of the COVID problem is not allowed to be the person we put in charge to solve it? Otherwise, no on the mandates from me. Blind studies for babies. Every vaccine promoter will say the same thing about the COVID vaccine and fertility. They'll say, there's absolutely no evidence that the vaccine has an impact on your fertility. And that's true. There's no evidence, because they barely studied it at all. That doesn't actually mean there's not a serious impact. There very well could be. It's super possible that in 10 years we'll have a big whoops moment, and that will be that. There's also no extensive research made public on the effects of the vaccine on pregnant women, even though Pfizer supposedly started a blind study in February. Let's not forget though, COVID is not even 2 years old, and the vaccine is even newer than that. There's a lot that we cannot possibly know. It's not absurd for low-risk men and women to avoid the vaccine until actual long-term studies can be performed and provide more information. Nothing actually long-term is available right now. Give me liberty or give me death. In the case of COVID, this ultimatum is a super safe one. There's like a 1% chance of dying from COVID, even less than that if you're young and healthy. I think the Patrick Henry quote is timeless and a very good way to start your take on Emperor Biden's big new moves. Guy knew his stuff. I mean, those are just off the top of my head, and I know there are a million ways to fight these mandates. We have so many options. But trust me, Republicans, I don't support mandates, but I think that everyone should be vaccinated is not the way to go right now. That weak shit is the opposite of the battle cry that Americans are begging for. I promise, not a single person is sitting at home wishing, wow, I wish that someone on Twitter would tell me to get vaccinated right now. Literally no one. There is not one person. So, whatever you choose to say it, but maybe just consider these.